We all have a favorite animal. Some maybe even own one, or two, or more. And you might be a terrific pet owner and all, or go as far as calling it family. But do you know any history on your pet prior to you owning it? What if I told you that by simply buying an animal from the wrong person, whether it is because it's cheaper or more convenient, you could be contributing to the illegal animal trade? Yes, your innocent act of buying that exotic chameleon you've always wanted to make the perfect shot for your IG profile, or that colorful bird that's been in its cage for years and can't remember the last time it spread its wings for more than a couple seconds. Yes, that forms part of a global problem: wildlife trafficking. I bet you were never told that, but why would you? Buying an animal from a clandestine location, or coworker, or friend, is not like checking the Carfax before purchasing a car. You just take their word, even though he probably got it from a person, who got it from another person, who got it from a different person.
Okay, I guess I'll just, take some sea snails and be on my way.
Let's rewind the clock back a bit to understand where this fascination of owning exotic animals comes from as we explore the world's diverse practices with these majestic creatures that we really don't deserve, and what is being done today to protect and preserve these amazing beings from extinction. So hold on to your hats on this wild ride of the illegal trade of exotic animals. I think we as humanity have always found animals to be beautiful and intriguing, all in their own unique way. Some small, some big, some approachable, while others intimidating. Some display their beautiful color arrangement, and others have the amazing ability to camouflage with their surroundings. But nonetheless, we've always found ways to capture them, mainly for personal use and consumption, until people started trading with them, then selling them, creating a market. The exotic animal trade is not a recent phenomenon. This fascination can be traced back to ancient civilizations that kept animals from faraway lands as symbols of power and wealth. Kings and queens showcased exotic birds, big cats, and even elephants to impress guests and assert dominance. During the colonial times, explorers and traders would journey to distant lands, returning with rare and exotic creatures from different parts of the world, such as big cats, colorful birds, unusual reptiles, and insects, just to name a few. That was just part of making a living. But some people would want these rare animals as a symbol of wealth and status, or like we say now, to flex. It's perhaps the ego in us that hasn't changed to this day, like a big competition of power, really, like having the best cars, biggest house, or rarest wristwatch. These early collectors would unknowingly set the stage for a trade that would evolve into a lucrative and often illicit industry. Fast forward to the early 20th century, the demand for exotic pets exploded, driven by a growing fascination with unique and charismatic animals. People sought to own something different, something rare, some dangerous, and some endangered. Hollywood films and television shows also played a big role in people wanting to acquire these sought-after animals, as they would see their favorite movie star or athlete featuring an exotic pet, where everyone could see these animals and want to join the trend, further fueling this demand. But as demand would increase, the methods of capturing and transporting these animals changed with it. What started as exploration turned into exploitation, making it a very lucrative business for all parties involved as their pockets were getting fat. But a life of total misery, pain, fear, and torture for these animals. There are stories of explorers who turned into tales of hunters and smugglers exploiting the wild for profit. That's all they cared about, profits and making a name for themselves to grow their business even more, transforming the exotic animal trade into a world of crime.
The Illinois Department of Natural Resources worked with federal agencies in Florida to take down a wildlife trafficking ring operating through Chicago. 3,700 flying squirrels were captured in Florida.
The later half of the 20th century witnessed a significant shift in the exotic animal trade. It had become a big business, a thriving business, with dealers sourcing different types of animals from around the globe to meet the demand of the pet industry. The desire of having a unique and rare pet led to the establishments of breeding facilities. Some operated legally, while others not so much. However, The consequences of this booming trade became evident as reports of habitat destruction, species decline, and animal suffering surfaced. Conservationists raised alarms about the impact on ecosystems and the survival of certain species.
There's a desperate plea for global support to protect the world's animals and plants. It comes after a new report has shown that wildlife populations have fallen by nearly 70% since 1970. The Worldwide Fund for Nature says governments, businesses and the public must take action to reverse the destruction of biodiversity.
The history of the exotic animal trade is intertwined with a complex web of cultural fascination, economic interests, and ecological consequences. It's essential to understand the history of this gruesome trade to comprehend the challenges we face today. In today's world, the exotic animal trade continues to be a pressing issue, with far-reaching consequences for both wildlife and ecosystems. The demand for exotic animals, however, remains at an all-time high and keeps rising. Today, the illegal wildlife trade ranks as the fourth most profitable criminal enterprise globally, right behind drugs, arms, and human trafficking, with a monetary value of up to $20 billion USD per year, according to Interpol. And the risks are surprisingly low, since a prison sentence for these types of offenses are often not more than just a few months in jail or a fine. It's worth the risk for some people. Being fueled by a desire for status symbols and unique companions sounds like a good and harmless idea, right? Well, not always, since the methods some of these individuals have employed to meet this growing demand often involve immoral, illegal, and unsustainable practices, only harming or killing more of these defenseless animals. Now, even online platforms have become breeding grounds for the illegal trade of exotic animals, since anyone can find anything, anywhere from their smartphone. Plus, with social media making it relatively easy for anybody to facilitate transactions from the comfort of their home, this will just keep on happening, while simultaneously making it challenging for the authorities to track and regulate these illicit activities. So if they can't see you, why not? The consequences of the modern exotic animal trade are devastating for wildlife conservation. Many species face the threat of extinction due to losing their habitat, overexploitation, and the disruption of natural ecosystems. Imagine being robbed from your home, then sold like a commodity. Well, that's what these animals experience. Just because they don't speak our language doesn't mean they don't understand and feel emotions. This terrible act some take part in, it's not only the direct impact on individual animals, though. The entire ecological balance is at risk when these creatures are removed from their natural habitats. Beyond conservation issues, the welfare of the animals involved is a grave concern, with many suffering during capture, transport, and captivity, leading to physical and psychological distress. Not to mention all the animals that don't make it in the process, because if you didn't know, those animals get drugged to cross borders with countless of them not waking up again. How do you think they stay so quiet? The condition in which these animals are kept often fall far short of meeting their complex needs. This results in a life of misery for creatures that deserve to thrive in their natural environments. Despite international regulations and efforts to curb the exotic animal trade, enforcement remains a significant challenge, with trafficking routes crisscrossing in every continent, and animals often crossing through multiple countries before reaching their final destination. Legal loopholes, corruption, and a lack of resources hinder effective measures against this illicit industry. The legal landscape surrounding the exotic animal trade is complex and varies from region to region, making it difficult to establish a unified front against the trade that spans across continents, creating a global challenge that demands international attention.
It is a billion-dollar business, wildlife trafficking.
Oh, good boy. Get that nose up there.
Canine Viper has a nose for crime.
The primary scents are ivory, rhino horn, python skins, seahorses, and sea turtle.
Miami International is considered a central hub for people attempting to traffic animals and illegal animal products. Viper's mission, along with his human partner, sniff out illegal wildlife coming in and out of South Florida and stop it.
From the lush rainforests of South America, to the vast savannas of Africa, to the dense jungles of Southeast Asia, The demand for rare wildlife products transcends borders, driving a network that links suppliers, smugglers, and consumers worldwide. This horrendous trade impacts diverse ecosystems on every continent, as different regions have different practices, with different demand and different markets, making these animals not only desired for pets, but for product or materials. Like the fashion industry, for example, having a long relationship with the trade for the use of exotic animal skins, furs, and feathers, often using these products on high-end garments and accessories for some of your favorite luxury brands. Examples of these products can be coats, hats, shoes, purses, belts. You get the idea. Anywhere it can be used, it will be used. In recent years, however, there has been a growing awareness and backlash against the use of exotic animal products in fashion. Animal rights activists, environmentalists, and ethical consumers worldwide have raised concerns about the welfare of animals, the conservation impact of harvesting exotic species, and the ethical implications of using animals solely for human adornment. Many fashion brands and designers have responded to these concerns by adopting more sustainable and cruelty-free practices. But despite these efforts, the demand for exotic animal products in fashion still persists in some sectors of the industry. The appeal of rarity, luxury, and prestige associated with exotic animal materials continues to attract more and more consumers every day, making it challenging to eradicate their use entirely. Nonetheless, the fashion industry is increasingly under pressure to prioritize ethical and sustainable practices, leading to ongoing debates and initiatives aimed at addressing the complex issues surrounding the use of exotic animals in fashion altogether. Will it work? Well, it might be easier said than done. It's not just about the big brands. Small businesses operating out of unmarked factories or storefronts continue to produce garments and accessories in bulk quantities using exotic animal materials, often flying under the radar of regulatory bodies, not having to report where their materials come from, and avoiding getting shut down. But even if it were possible to eliminate the use of animal products in fashion, that wouldn't be the end of it, as there are other practices with animals in different cultures, like eating exotic animals, something looked frowned upon in the West, but very much normal in other countries. Cultural influences also play a significant role in driving demand, as a large population obtain these animals for consumption, traditional medicine, or traditional practices, making it quite controversial regarding ethical, environmental, and public health implications. Some are considered a delicacy, like the shark, pufferfish, kangaroo, crocodile, turtles. Have you ever had an exotic animal for dinner? Or maybe for lunch? Or maybe not so exotic? Or do you prefer to wear them instead? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, other animals are believed to possess medical properties like the tiger, the pangolin, rhinoceros, bear, bat, etc., leading to their inclusion in traditional dishes and remedies. Opening another can of worms like poaching, killing certain animals just to harvest their valuable parts, often being endangered species.
Step into this grotesque, macabre warehouse on the outskirts of Denver.
Wow.
And you'll soon grasp just how endangered this world's endangered species really are.
This is an animal that's about to go extinct, really.
It's the same plight for the rhino and the tiger and the elephant. They could all go extinct within our lifetime.
Colleen Schaefer runs the Wildlife Repository for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and this is just a fraction of what wildlife officials recover, just enough to show how repulsive the trade in endangered dead animals can be.
You get shipments in here every day?
Every single day.
Some for meat or skin, others for their tusks, horns, or scales. Not even sharks are safe from these pesky poachers, as they are collected out of the water just for their fins, then tossed back in to wait to be eaten alive while slowly sinking to the bottom of the ocean. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Some of these animals are highly sought after across Asia and other parts of the world, even though some have no scientific proof of any medicinal value. Additionally, this ruthless trade also poses serious risks to human health, as it facilitates the spread of zoonotic diseases from animals to humans, as seen with past outbreaks, such as bird flu and fill in the blank from 2020. Remember, not everything that moves is edible. Then, There's another group of people, the most unliked, I think, who love exotic animals so much, in fact, that find joy in turning these majestic creatures into mirror decorative pieces. That's right, these are the collectors. While a stuffed animal may serve as a conversation starter, the cruel methods of collection and the illicit black market activities behind these trophies are a conversation that needs to be had, because some of those trophies were collected in the black market, or with cruel methods. And it's important to know that most of these illicit activities are in some way or another linked to other organized criminal networks in the black market, like drug trafficking, human trafficking, arms smuggling, and many other illegal trades. In addition, contrary to popular belief, some say that the illegal trade of some of these exotic animals is not the reason for their extinction. You've heard the saying, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? Well, that can be applied here. In a twisted sense, you see, when a commodity is in high demand, there will be suppliers. Its basic economics, in this case, is the illegal breeding of exotic animals in captivity that keeps the numbers up, because some of these species would have been long gone by now due to losing their natural habitat in the wild, a large part thanks to us and deforestation. It's a bitter pill to swallow, I know, but it is what it is. Yes, it's a very sharp double-edged sword we're dealing with here. However, efforts to address the exotic animal trade involve a combination of regulatory measures, law enforcement, public awareness campaigns, community engagement, but perhaps the most powerful weapon in this fight is education on wildlife conservation for the public. Just think how different the world would be if the education system would include a caring for our planet and wildlife class for all kids in the school curriculum. The education system, that's a topic for another time. So combating this issue also includes using alternative materials in the fashion industry, such as faux fur, synthetic textiles, and innovative sustainable fabrics in their collections. In addition, some brands have already implemented strict sourcing policies to ensure that any animal products used are ethically sourced and obtained through sustainable and humane practices. Sticking to traditional pets, although that can be controversial as they're also animals. But there are a lot of great shelter animals, so the next time you're considering getting a pet, know that adoption is always an option. Rangers are always on high alert for poachers. Well, they do what they can with limited resources and personnel. Also, in a promising development, China has recently banned the use of pangolin scales for use in traditional Chinese medicine. It's a small step, but a significant one. But after all this is said and done, on record anyways, will there be change?